Everybody has his own favorite, but my favorite is always the tomatoes in summer. You take a vine and put it on the barbecue. A warm tomato is the most tasty, but very good for your health.
Welcome to The Science Behind Your Salad, a brand new podcast series brought to you by BASF. I'm Jane Craigie. I'm an agriculturalist, a traveller and a marketer. I've been a freelance writer for over 20 years, and I'm deeply involved with the International Federation of Agricultural Journalists.
So Jane, what's your favourite way to eat tomatoes?
That's the voice of Martin, and we've also got Anna here, his fellow producer. Why don't you go first, Martin? You tell me and I'll have a think about it.
Well, I like something called panzanella, which is ripe old tomatoes that are probably past their best sometimes. A load of basil, some roasted pepper, some onions, some garlic, and you roast it all up in a baking tray with some stale bread. And it's really sweet and it's juicy and yeah, I love it. Anna, what do you think?
Throughout lockdown 1, I practically lived on bruschetta. I previously would have eaten a tomato sandwich, but I discovered bruschetta because to make the tomatoes taste even better, you just add a load of stuff and stick it on toast. I don't know whether any Italians would have a problem with me calling that bruschetta, but I chop up lots of tomatoes with onion, loads of olive oil, olives and loads of coriander, and it was just delicious. And I had it every day during lockdown because it's easy and it just uses up the contents of my fridge. It was delicious.
And Jane, what do you think then?
I love the sound of yours. I was going to change my mind, but I'm going to stick to my guns, and I think my favourite is a Greek salad. I was just thinking maybe Greek salad is embedded in my DNA. Yeah, I was born in Cyprus and lived there till I was about 3 years old, and I spoke Greek before I spoke English. So fresh tomatoes, lots of olive oil, the saltiness of feta and olives, and preferably sitting in a taverna with a glass of wine in my hands. That would be my go-to for tomatoes. In this series, I'm going to take you with me as I tour the globe. I'm going to be searching the world for the ingredients to make the perfect salad. In this, our first episode, we're talking tomatoes. When they're eaten fresh from the vine, they're really the taste of summer. But any time of the year, they're an essential addition to almost any dish.
In salad, I love tomato in salad, like Greek salad, or also with mozzarella.
I eat them in the morning with hummus on my sandwich, and then with mozzarella, yeah.
India, I think there's no dish which is complete without tomatoes, yeah. We put tomato in everything.
A good cheese and tomato sandwich, good bit of homemade bread, lovely bit of Lancashire cheese, fine tomatoes.
My partner, he is a farmer. He said that one of his favourite dishes was moussaka. I'd never eaten it before. It is the ultimate comfort food that just makes you feel at home whenever you eat it.
What I really like is creating my own pasta sauce with tomato, pepper, onion, spices and herbs. It's nice making it, and it's even nicer to enjoy the pasta dish with tomato with the family.
But we're not just telling the stories that celebrate the food that we prepare and eat. We'll meet the scientists searching for the next incredible breakthroughs, helping the world to grow healthy and flavour-filled foods for our plates.
The future is now!
We'll be exploring the new technologies revolutionising the way farmers use plant varieties, satellite positioning data and growing systems.
You see, it's a matter of science, lad. Come here, I'll show you.
And we'll meet the farmers, those pioneers working to do one of the biggest jobs on earth, supplying a huge diversity of foods 365 days a year in the face of huge challenges.
I'm proud to be a farmer and produce food for my family and many others. And just knowing that we're part of an industry that is ever changing, to me, is no better industry to be involved in.
In Britain, where I live, we love small, very sweet tomatoes. In Spain and Greece, it's the larger, more acidic fruits which hold favour. But before we get into the history of the crop, and we'll be tracing the origins of the crop later in the podcast, I had heard rumours of something called the intense tomato. And what's so special about this tomato, you might ask? It may sound like a minor problem, but we've all been there. Tomatoes in the sandwich have a tendency to turn the bread to mush and to go all soggy. So my first stop on my virtual tour is to Bologna. Where I live in northeast Scotland isn't the best place to grow tomatoes, unlike northern Italy. Coming up is Franco Vecchio.
Use it with mozzarella in slice.
He's a tomato breeder.
Put olive oil and salt on it. It doesn't go everywhere in the plate.
This simplistic term for what he does belies the complexity of his job. Franco's role is to find ways to improve the tomato, to meet consumer and retailer demands for an array of characteristics. The requirement could be improving the flavour or the shelf life, or making the fruit more attractive, or it could be improving the growing crop's resistance to disease. The intense tomato is a variety that he has helped develop. It has been created by a process called hybridization, which utilises the desired attributes of two plant parents and combines them to make one offspring with the attributes of both. Here's Franco to tell us more.
The intense tomato mainly came from observations. The real origin is a mutation. In nature, very often happen mutation in every kind of plant or animals, in man as well. This is the key of the evolution. Once, many years ago, in the field, I observed this kind of mutation in a variety of tomato, in a commercial variety of tomato we use in processing. We observed that one plant had the fruit showing this trait, so no leaking.
The intense tomato is the holy grail, a tomato that doesn't make your sandwich soggy.
We saw the mutation, and then I tasted it, of course. I tried to use it, and then the step was, well, this is interesting because there are some needs that a normal tomato is not able to fit very well. The fruit was ugly at the beginning. It was a very ugly old variety. Then the point was to understand, well, wow, beautiful, what can we do with that? The second step was, let's transpose the trait in a good-looking tomato. So through crosses, selection, etc., we back-crossed this into a regular tomato with a better size, shape, etc. And so we can start studying it. The first point was to understand what happened. Can we reproduce in the progenies the trait, or is just something that you lose?
What Franco is describing is hybridization. So I asked him how this works in practice.
Technically, you have to choose one plant that will be the female, one plant will be the male. Tomato normally is a self-pollinating crop. When the flower is opening, it's already pollinized. So if you want to do a hybrid, then you have to work a little bit on flowers. So we select the female flowers, and from the female flowers we have to remove the male part. So we don't want this flower to produce pollen. We keep the other plant as male, so we harvest the pollen from it manually. With this pollen we go to pollinate the female flower. It is enough to put grains of pollen on the end of the stylus, and then the ovario, that is at the end, will be the tomato that we eat, is pollinized, and then seeds are coming, the fruit is becoming mature and grows, etc. And then you harvest the seeds, and then you have, let's say, the new base for the crop. Those seeds are the hybrid seeds.
The intense tomato also reduces waste by lasting longer.
This is a way also to have a better shelf life. So not losing so much water, not losing water at all, let's say. You can keep the fruits for more time.
Like me, Franco loves the tomato in a good Greek salad.
Well, I love it very much with feta, olive, because you cut it in pieces and the pieces stay. So you can really taste when you eat the salad.
I had a delivery of a box of intense tomatoes yesterday, and they are beautifully fresh red colour, and I've got 3 in front of me now on a chopping board, so I'm just into them. So it is relatively dry, so perfect for making a sandwich, and so that your bread doesn't get soggy. I'm just going to cut a little piece off and have a taste. That is really good. It's got a rich flavour, fresh, quite savoury, and absolutely perfect for either a sandwich or a salad. That is a beautiful tomato. It's a great example of innovative technology that can meet the needs of the market and also reduce food waste. Tomatoes may look simple and may be easily found all over the world, but the science that goes into the mighty tomato is not only groundbreaking, it's also vital for producing abundant, healthy crops for feeding the world's growing population. And tomatoes are worth their weight in gold. Why? Well, if you compare the weight of an ingot of gold with the equivalent weight of tomato seed, pound for pound, the tomato seeds are actually more valuable.
Price of gold is around 30,000 euros a kilo. Tasty Tom seeds are 10 times more expensive than gold, around 300,000 euros. Then you have a lot of seeds, I can tell you, but they are very expensive.